Hi, everybody. So let's get one thing out of the way first. It's pronounced Azar, not Azar. I will hunt down anybody who says Azar. So I have made a career out of not doing what's expected. And this is an interesting experience for me. I'm up here talking to you about how to get a job. And as of today, I don't have one. I resigned my position a couple of weeks ago. And I'll be starting a new one here in about 10 days or so with a new firm. So I have one thing in common with many of you. I don't have a job today, and I'm looking for, or I'm going to be starting one, but I've just been through the process of looking for one and finding what I want. So I'll be able to speak to you from some real-world perspective of how I went about doing that and how the process works these days. So I won't be saying anything about either my former company or my current company, given that I'm basically just up here as myself today. This is pretty much just going to be a talk about how to get and find a job, and maybe to some extent how to keep it too. Okay, so for a lot of you, this is less of an issue today than it's going to be in the future. But one thing to keep in mind is over the course of a working career, you probably aren't going to be one thing. I think several of the speakers have spoken about different roles and different kinds of expectations and how you don't get to sit in your little box. That's very true. If you had told me 20 years ago I would be starting in a week at a branding and identity and graphic design shop as the vice president, I would have said, you're crazy, I'm a programmer. It hasn't worked out like that. I have been all over the map. I've been an HR person, I've been a finance person, I've been a marketing person, I've been a techie, I've worked in research and development. I would say roughly every 2 years I've had to reinvent myself. If you look at these titles, you probably can't tell chronologically which ones came first and which ones came later, and that's part of how things are these days. Keep a very flexible and fluid perspective on what you can do and what you need to do. The minute you think you've got it figured out, it'll shift from under you. So one of the key things in being able to find the right kind of employment, finding what you want to do, is knowing who you are, understanding who you are and what you're looking for. In my experience, there are three kinds of workers, and I'll be building on this concept quite a bit. There are those of you who are going to be looking for a job. That doesn't mean that you don't want to do a good job, but you want an experience where somebody will tell you what they're looking for and you'll go do it. And a certain proportion of you in this room, I guarantee, this is actually what you're going to be doing because that's who you are on the inside. Another proportion of you are going to start building a career. You're going to build expertise. You're going to get your MBAs. You're going to get your PMP certifications. You're going to go for an MFA, all those degrees and certificates. And you're going to specialize in something and you're going to become a professional. A vocation. A lot of the entrepreneurs in the world start off with a vocation. They do it not because they want the money, they do it because there's a burning fire inside of them. They have to do it. Differences amongst these three: in a job, typically somebody tells you what to do and you do it. In a career, they give you some expectations, you execute against those expectations, but you bring some creativity to it. When you're pursuing a vocation, people pay you to decide what needs to get done and to do it well. And that's essentially the difference. But you have to know who you are when you go out to that first interview. Okay, knowing who you are involves a few other factors. Deciding whether you're looking for a job, a career, or a vocation also requires understanding your motivations around work-life balance. Are you prepared to take a call Saturday morning at 4 a.m. from a client who needs something? In my life, that happens regularly. I don't bat an eye. It just happens, you deal with it. It has to be done. Are you willing to deal with ambiguity? Can people tell you, we want to dominate the China market? Figure out how to do that. Are you comfortable with an assignment like that? What about focus and intensity? Can you work 6 hours straight on something without getting up, without taking a break? Social skills. Are you comfortable standing in front of a room full of people you don't know and talking about something? What about in front of a client? How about schmoozing with people to try to get deals or contracts? Are you comfortable with those things? presentation skills, ability to lead, and I want to make one key distinction. Ability to organize and ability to lead are not the same thing. If you have both of those, you've got a great career in executive management. If you have one or the other, know which one it is and know the difference. And last, but definitely not least, passion. Where are your passions? Is your passion sewing? Is it cats? Is it graphic design? This will make a big difference in understanding whether you're looking for a job or career or vocation. So once you think you know who you are, realize that you're also likely to experience 3 different distinct kinds of interviews out there. If you're interviewing for a job, essentially that process is going to be them asking you questions, trying to figure out if you can do what they need done. If you're interviewing in a career position, they're going to be looking for a fit. Or is the Venn diagram of things that you know how to do and things that they need you to do and what you want to do they align enough that you're going to be the right person for this job? And you're on the other side of the table doing the exact same thing. In a vocation, guess what? You don't really get a lot of questions. I've been through 4 vocation interviews in the last 7 years. They've never asked me for a resume. I haven't handed any of my employers a resume in 7 years. They don't ask for them because it's not relevant. They see me on LinkedIn. They know what I do. My reputation speaks for itself. The people who are going to hire me know who I am before I show up there. They want to hear how I'm going to solve their problems. There's a difference in the interviews. If you go into a third kind of interview with someone who wants you to be a leader, to drive an area, to be responsible for something, and you wait for the questions, you're in trouble.